Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro, and it's time for updated Oscar predictions for September. This one's really exciting because there's a lot of ambiguities. Even though the festivals have wrapped, I'm sure a lot of people are saying like, oh, we know exactly what's happening. Well, we don't know what's happening. We're gonna debate and possibly change a couple things.
Yeah,
depending
because I don't know what you did. Like you came up with this list. I don't know exactly what you've done, but what we're gonna see.
I value your feedback and opinions, and so if you think
you
something's terrible, I might take you seriously.
I mean, with that, one of the craziest categories just for nominations is Best Picture. I would say there's definitely 6, 7 that people agree on. That's not that much. That's not that much when you have 3 slots that people don't know what's happening or that could go anyway. I guess starting off at the top, what do we think is winning after the festivals? Obviously, we all know, I know this. I'm not a doofy dope idiot. We know The Fabelmans won. TIFF Audience Awards, got great reviews.
The Fabelmans has stronger reactions than I even anticipated. And so this is not like some Belfast, this is a strong contender.
And could win. It's Oscar bait in every way. This is Spielberg doing a movie about his childhood and about his filmmaking journey. It's like the typical circle jerk thing where movies about movies get honored very nicely.
But are we done with those days in a post La La Land losing world? Are people gonna say, yeah, I know, it's Oscar bait, I get it, we're tired of it, it's been the front runner since September.
Here's the answer. Yes, people will say that. There are even people at TIFF who, if they didn't love the movie, they're kind of hush-hush speaking, I didn't think The Fabelmans was the best thing ever. And they're like, oh, you too? Oh, we didn't think The Fabelmans was amazing. Oh, okay. So people are going to feel that way about this movie. Not everybody's gonna love every movie. That's just not possible. But this is one of those that it's riding high right now, and it has a long way to go before it gets to the Oscar. And in that time, people could just become more comfortable and feel that it's more of the trend to think this is a good but not great film. We don't know, but this is just something I think will happen to some degree. We don't know how much.
People like it a lot, though. Let's not underestimate that.
I know.
And this movie could win director. It could win screenplay. Maybe not Michelle Williams. So I guess that's the package, really. I don't see it winning
That's the thing,
Tex.
too. What's the winning package? It's not massive. This isn't gonna sweep any techs.
When we're looking at what other movies might pose a threat, I still think Everything Everywhere is going to be in the conversation to win. I think that a lot of people have that as their number one or in their top 5 movies of the year, and that obviously is good. That's obviously a good thing. The movie has kind of taken the world of film by storm, and maybe that's just me being a film Twitter letterboxd person, but I think Hollywood has got to like the movie too. They've got their veteran actors in there too.
And people are just not going to shut up about it.
I guess my question is really if older voters will bring this movie down a little bit, because they probably will like it less. But is it less enough that it could prevent this movie from winning? I mean, here's the other thing. Look, Everything Everywhere has a potential to win up to 5 Oscars. To win Best Picture, it needs 3 of them, including Screenplay. Could win for Michelle Yeoh or Ke Huy Quan. Screenplay is a very good look still. It's still that's really what's keeping my eyebrows raised on this as a winner. And then editing is a potential winner. So if it has all those that it could potentially win, you can't tell me that there's no path for this movie.
Yeah, just based on what it could win alone. I do agree with the older voters, and I also makes me wonder, are we in a sort of bubble, being a younger part of the film, Twittery, letterboxd, social media using film people.
Parasite happened, and that was being stormed up on Letterboxd and everything. But or maybe that's just making us overconfident, because the buzz on Twitter and Letterboxd for Parasite actually did manifest. Maybe we just expect perhaps too much, that whatever buzz occurs on social media will manifest in Best Picture. We got plenty of industry folk who are Academy voters, Jodie Foster, for example, people coming out just saying how they love this movie.
And we also know that Best Picture is about timing and being the right movie for the moment. The Fabelmans has a little bit weaker of an argument for being a movie of the moment, because it feels like
it's a movie of the past.
Yeah, it's not an important movie necessarily. There's no social or political reason to give it an award, which it doesn't need to be, but that's important. It certainly, I think, helped Coda. People like to be inclusive. They like to feel that their vote matters for a greater cause. That's part of what Coda was, whether we like it or not. Everything Ever All at Once does have that Definitely more than The Fabelmans. It's kind of a landmark for Asian American cinema. It puts a spotlight on talent that other films just have it neglected to do. It's also an immigrant story. It generates empathy for this character who hasn't had a movie made about her, like this sort of anonymous, like, owner of a laundry shop.
I also think that the movie trying to be an antidote to nihilism feels very modern because that's kind of an increasing sentiment right now. It also feels like stylistically this movie is really forward thinking too. I really just wonder if people will be like, yes, The Fabelmans, yes, The Fabelmans, yes, The Fabelmans all year, because I think The Fabelmans is going to probably win some of those major precursors. Yeah. But will people tire of it? You can call me naive if you want. You can say I'm living in a little fairy tale land where like the best case scenario happens, but I still think that it's a thing that can happen. Can Women Talking win? I've become a little bit less convinced that this is a potential winner, but it does have a pretty good case in terms of like adapted screenplay. It looks like the movie could easily just walk right up to the stage and just snatch that trophy. Oh, yeah. And then with Michelle Williams moving to lead, it looks like perhaps Claire Foy or maybe Jessie Buckley has the shot of winning the award right now too.
I think people just kind of failed to take the movie that seriously, and I'm not really sure why. Like maybe it is the color grade, just that one element of the movie making people feel like a little bit weird about it. But everybody I talked to thought this was one of the best movies of the festival. It reflected in the People's Choice Awards, where it was number 2 behind The Fabelmans. This movie had a great run at TIFF. I don't know why some people are like, I don't know about that one. I still think it could maybe win. Maybe there's a world where it wins, but I do think The Fabelmans is a better shot.
And then there's Babylon, which I think will be a classic, big December Oscar contender that doesn't end up winning. A lot of times those movies don't end up winning, but they end up getting like 10 nominations or more, and this is probably the case for that.
I could even see people like taking a dig at the movie for it being too over the top, but that will not stop other people from thinking it's like one of their favorites of the year. Even if it's polarizing, the people who like it are gonna really like it.
I don't think it's gonna be that polarizing, like just because some people had reactions to the trailer, but like that's the trailer trying to show you that it's like a quirky, crazy movie. Like we are talking about Damien Chazelle here. His characters are always so well written, like his stories are interesting, his movies are visually amazing. Like trust him. Like don't give up because you thought the trailer was okay. What are you talking about?
And also, the trailer wasn't okay. The trailer was fucking awesome.
I liked the trailer a lot. There was an elephant in it. Banshees of Inisherin, all the way up to number 5. This is the first time we've even had the movie on our top 10, but I feel like it has become undeniable since it premiered at the festivals. Potentially 3 acting nominations. We have pretty much a screenplay lock. People are calling it maybe McDonough's best film, or like it's up there with others that people think are amazing. So everybody
get a couple texts. It's hilarious, great performances, great writing. Like that's it. This is a lock, I would say.
And I think Top Gun Maverick is close to being a lock if we already use the L word so flippantly. People fucking can't get enough of this movie. And when you look at contenders like dropping off, or you look at like, By the Sun, by Empire of Light, or whatever you want to say, you look at Top Gun and you're like, there's a movie that everybody liked. And also a movie that is probably getting some tech nominations. Sure, it might not
probably will win something, I think.
May not play huge above the line.
I think, especially Academy voters, some of them, definitely the dinosaurs, are going to love this.
That's why.
And it's already taken on this air of like, nominate this for Best Picture, like give this awards. The really funny thing about it is that nobody's like stepping in to be like, hey guys, stop it, like stop the Top Gun love, like it's not that good. Nobody's even doing that. Not even the most pretentious film people.
The reason that Top Gun is different from a typical blockbuster or even a sequel or whatever that just doesn't play at the Oscars despite people liking it is that Top Gun is giving moviegoers a feeling that they've been missing, and it's making them say they don't make them like they used to, except this movie right here. The movie's paying homage to like the blockbuster filmmaking of the past in the 80s, and also updating it for now in a way that I think is stylistically like kind of significant and worth paying attention to, and a lot of people seem to agree.
Yeah, it's just silly to think that there couldn't be room for a blockbuster like this in a Best Picture lineup of 10. And all the power to it. I think the Best Picture category should be made up of kind of a diverse array of films that, if any person like went through and watched all of them, they would find one of the movies to be something they really love.
Tar, I think, is looking pretty good. Now, the question that I think is just becoming kind of dull by now is Tar Spencer. So first of all, Spencer does not have a 90 on Metacritic. It actually has under an 80. This movie also polled really well at Telluride. Some poll it gets like conducted every year. And this movie scored like a 4.2 out of 5, and it put it as the second highest rated movie of the festival for people. Cate Blanchett's like in the winning conversation. There's an easy case to make for Todd Field in director and screenplay. And it is Focus's only movie. I think they like it quite a bit. And we're going to see it soon at New York, and that may shape the way that I see this as an awards player. Yeah, the movie's cold. Maybe some people will come out feeling very detached from it, but I think enough people will really, really like this movie. It's going to be a critics' top 3 of the year kind of thing, perhaps. That's enough to get it into Best Picture, I think.
By the way, Spencer did not get showered in Critics' Awards, but outside of Best Actress. I think we're going to see them actually nominating Tar and Todd Field in Director and Screenplay, and that's how we're going to know.
8 is The Whale. Now, The Whale's Metascore is like pretty disappointing. I mean, it's a 64 right now. The Rotten Tomato score is in the 70s. So you might think at first glance that this is not that good, but The Whale has some other factors that are very, very redeeming for it that I think could make it a snug Best Picture nominee despite all this. On Letterboxd, we can see that the love is a little bit different. It's at like a 3.9. There's lots of 10s. It is a tearjerker, and many will testify that at their screenings at film festivals, lots of people were crying.
I would say most people that I've talked to are mixed on The Whale, and we have to acknowledge that. I think the main point here, again, I think you're about to talk about this, is that Brendan Fraser is incredible in it, and he's gonna win Best Actor. I don't know if should I even pretend like I don't think that's definitely happening?
You should pretend that Austin Butler has a case, because I don't think that it's 100%.
I don't
like
want
if Elvis
to.
rose
I don't think
the
I
ranks,
should pretend.
If Elvis rose the ranks and The Whale fell in the ranks, I think there's a shot that it's not Brendan Fraser. But I do think it's very most likely Brendan Fraser, and that's very good for the movie's Best Picture chances. Also good, the adapted screenplay race is A Ghost Town. So this movie is like pretty easy to see there. Hong Chow is getting a fair share of buzz. She could definitely go along. So why would you be predicting the movie to win makeup and Best Actor and get nominated for like adapted screenplay and maybe supporting actress and say this is not Best Picture? I think it has enough going for it.
I think Hong Chow, though, does go along with a Best Picture nomination. I don't know if I see her getting in without it. When I saw The Whale, I did think that could get nominated for Best Picture. I had kind of that feeling that, okay, this movie is sort of safe. It's not gonna isolate too many people. I could see why people are mixed on it, but what really like sells me is that there's a frenzy going on with Brendan Fraser, and I think that might even just put The Whale in like alone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not sold on it. Like, the movie could slip.
And then I think if it did slip, it would still be the first Best Actor winner to go along without a Best Picture nominee that we've seen in over a decade.
And that 8, I feel cool with. I'm comfortable with it. And then it's war zone, no pun intended, because of the number 9, but there's a whole chunk of like 8 movies where I'm like, sure, that could happen. Sure, that could happen. And I don't know what's going to happen. And we're just going to walk through the contenders, and you tell me if you agree that the things should be in the top 10 or not. Do you think All Quiet should be in the 10? Because I have it for several tech categories. I think 4 or 5 categories, including international feature. And I think that because this movie is a war film that's impressing people a lot, the Letterboxd rating looks pretty great. The critics are liking it too. It could be like a 1917 type of movie. Maybe not as feel good, no heroism aspect to the movie, but it could impress people and kind of blow voters away because, in many ways, this is an Oscar bait film. It's just international, and Netflix needs to get on it, and I feel like it may have a better shot than Glass Onion.
If this was an English language film, I would have no problem saying it could get into Best Picture. It's not the typical international film that critics have to buzz up in order to get people to pay attention. It's based on source material that people are familiar with, and it's in a genre that people are excited to see.
I do agree. Like, usually international films in Best Picture are like critics' number 1 or 2 film of the year, and I don't think that this is going to be that. That is a good point against this movie being in the 10.
It's a little different, though. We don't really see international films
with undeniable text. Now, what about The Woman King? I could put this in my top 10. I think I could put that in the top 10 because A+ cinema score, great critic reviews, 99% audience reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, look wherever the movie isn't getting review bombed, people love it.
Yeah, I think
it's killing it at the box office.
I think we dismissed this film too early. And the ratings are just going up. Like, Rotten Tomatoes is really high, Letterboxd is really high. There is some controversy around the film, but like, it's really not as bad as the controversy paints it out to be. And it's kind of ridiculous in the way that all Hollywood movies manipulate history in some way. Like, so this movie does it, not a totally egregious way, and people are like super upset.
I mean, it acknowledges that they had slaves. It just wants to be more focused on like powerful women like fighting and shit. And so it doesn't like make it the whole movie. And that kind of makes sense as an approach. And also the context behind like kingdoms like these and how they played into like the slave trade, like it's more complicated than you initially think. I watched a good video about it. The Dahome's justification was basically if they don't become a powerful nation by participating in this slave trade for the Europeans, they would probably become the victim of slave raids themselves.
Yeah.
So that was really what was going on. It's like more complicated than you kind of think it is.
It is going to affect like the way that people talk about it. If every single time people bring up a movie, like there's a sort of like debate going on.
Yeah, but that's on the internet. I don't know if that's actually happening like outside of the internet.
Big, yeah, but it's like as big enough as it's as big as, you know, debates like these go. However, I will say there's a fuck ton of racist trolls who are muddying that debate. Like there's people who want to talk about it seriously, and then there's a bunch of like racist trolls who are just happy that people are shitting on the movie, and they'll just use whatever arguments are being slung against it.
But anyway, I think if you come out of the movie loving it, you're not going to let that bring you down from being hyped on the movie.
I take this very seriously for Best Picture, and here's why. People who watch it and like it, immediately, they see the box office, they see that it did well, they see the reviews, that the reviews are great. They watched the movie, they thought, oh, that is just like a Best Picture movie. It was well done. The performances were great.
It's an Oscar-y genre.
Yeah, it's an Oscar-y genre. It's kind of a crowd pleaser. Like, it actually checks a ton of the boxes. And so for this to not get nominated would feel really weird. I didn't even like love the movie, but just based on people's reactions, I think this checks a ton of boxes. And I think for people to see a movie about black women checking all these boxes and then for it to miss Best Picture would feel like a slap in the face. Take that for what you will. I think it would be a little odd too at this point. Yeah, I also think it get it SAG Ensemble.
It's just that when it comes to other nominations outside of Best Picture, I think it feels iffy. Like Viola Davis, a lot of people would probably expect her to be nominated for Best Actress, but god damn, the Best Actress race is crowded. You know, I think it's safe for costumes, but like, is it safe for production design, like score, sound, like a lot of maybes, just a lot of maybes. But maybe it could get into Best Picture with like only costumes or something like that, or just a couple techs. I think Glass Onion, I just don't know. I mean, I even feel like people have calmed down a little bit after the TIFF premiere, which was fun, and people were kicking and screaming in the theater, and they were like, "Knives Out! Knives Out!" And now people are like, yeah, I mean, it was another really good movie in the Knives Out saga. Like, are we really going to say that just because Netflix has it, that they can push this thing to a Best Picture nominee?
Well, you know, it's funny because we're debating between two Netflix films. Netflix should take note and campaign All Quiet West in front, though. They really should. I'm not, like, convinced that Glass Onion has a, you know, better shot than All Quiet or a lot of these movies.
It is kind of a lock for adapted screenplay, though. But I don't know how much else it can get.
And by the way, if All Quiet gets into Best Picture, that can take one of the adapted screenplay slots, but we'll talk about it. What would this need to get into Best Picture? I think this would probably need like a Critics' Choice nomination, which I'm sort of skeptical of.
It could get PGA. I mean, Knives Out got
PGA. SAG Ensemble, I think it would need to, you know, it would need to get some of these nominations that the first one didn't. I expect this will be a big success and a lot of people will watch it. And it really does make you feel like, oh, the Knives Out movies are some of the most entertaining films that we have. Like, they're some of the most fun films that are out there. And you know, 10 years, 20 years from now, we'll be looking back and being like, oh man, those Knives Out movies, they were great.
Yeah, but are we really going to go for a fun streaming movie?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because the Oscars often want more than just fun.
I'm not convinced this gets in, though. I'm kind of with you that I feel like the narrative for it just isn't strong enough, but it's like almost there.
So Triangle of Sadness, we're leaving it out, and here's the main reason. So when Tar came up, I was like, well, that gets director and when it's in Best Picture, and it probably gets screenplay. It being in those categories, I think it directly like pushes Triangle out of those two categories, and those are categories I think that movie is really looking at if it's going to get in Best Picture. Another thing working against Triangle is I have a hard time seeing it hit precursors. I am unsure if Critics' Choice would go for it. I feel uncertain that PGA would go for it. I don't think the Globes would care. Even in comedy, I think that it's still at risk because comedy is crowded. So I just don't know if I see the path.
Yeah, I agree. And I did watch it and think that was fucking hilarious. And I love this. And I thought this could get nominated for Best Picture.
You could see the BAFTAs given this like director and screenplay, though, and that would look good, kind of like Drive My Car, which didn't get Critics' Choice for PGA.
Yeah, I agree.
But also critics are not going to be on this movie's side, apparently, and that hurts a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that some people are having like a really different reaction, because my crowd like fucking loved this movie. They were hollering at it.
It does lose a little steam towards the end. I think
it's actually kind of a big problem. I think that the movie does lose steam towards the end. I think it does get squeezed out because it doesn't have like a high nomination ceiling.
I did consider if Elvis could be in the top 10.
Yeah, we're considering this very seriously now.
We're thinking it gets costumes. We're thinking it gets makeup. If it got more nominations, it could get production design, sound, editing if it was in Best Picture. So Elvis is possible, and audiences, it did rile them up. Maybe not the same level as Bohemian Rhapsody, but like not so far off that I think you can dismiss it. Avatar: The Way of Water. We just saw the Avatar re-release. People are getting excited about that. It was said that some footage screened and the 3D is like making people go, shit, I guess there's still room for like 3D movies. Like there's still places for them to go. And they're saying that the 48 frames per second or whatever they're doing with that is like actually properly done. If people really are feeling that way about the movie and it's that impressive, like people could get Avatar fever all over again, and this could get into Best Picture. We do have it in 4 tech categories already.
I wonder if like The Whale could be the one that falls for a blockbuster like Avatar or something.
I think if you gotta fit a few things in, The Whale could fall. And then you got Black Panther, which, another sequel to a Best Picture nominated film. This movie also is probably gonna get a few nominations. It's easy to see it getting some of the ones that Black Panther won.
Yeah, one thing I'm not questioning is that this film is going to be as exciting technically, if not more so than the first one. Probably more so. And the cinematography looks so good in the trailer that I'm honestly wondering like maybe that could do something. And the funny thing is there's a big expectation that it's going to be better than the first one. And if it's better than the first one, then shouldn't you say it's getting nominated? I think there is a world where Black Panther Wakanda Forever is like, I'm as fresh as the first movie, give me awards.
She said a lot of people are expecting that this will be a contender. It could definitely get nominated in an adapted screenplay, and they could honestly fraud Carey Mulligan or Zoe Kazan in supporting and just make that kind of a thing. I'm a little worried that they are going to commit such category fraud.
But I don't think they can do that for Carey Mulligan here.
They can do whatever the fuck they want, buddy. Does the trailer make it look like it's the most exciting movie, or is it just solid? Like, that's kind of what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I'm fine leaving it out. Like, I'm not gonna get super hyped up on this before it comes out.
Empire of Light. I don't necessarily think that this should be like 17. I just think all these other movies I'm really more curious about. Yeah. And Empire of Light, it honestly doesn't look too good right now. What's worse to me than having under a 60 on Metacritic and having in the 50s on Rotten Tomatoes, what's worse is that it has a 3.0 on Letterboxd, okay? Like, Yikes. It's not just that it's disappointing critics. Like, most people just feel the movie's kind of underwhelming. If you're gonna say, oh, it's the Oscar bait film that still gets into Best Picture, which some people think, like, who is so excited about it that they're gung-ho on making sure that they vote for it, like, in their 10? Like, I just don't know if enough people are.
Yeah. And if you are that kind of person who's so excited about the movie that it gets your vote for Best Picture of the year, I just like don't really understand you.
Decision to Leave. I think to be the international contender that creeps up, you got to be winning critics awards. You got to be like in their top 3. Once again, like Drive My Car, Amour, Parasite, Roma. And Decision to Leave has great critic reviews. I think that they may treat it very nicely. I just don't know that it's going to like win these awards. We'll see. I mean, there's a world where it happens. And the movie deserves a decent amount of nominations, I think, from editing to score and, cinematography. Like, there's stuff in there that you could do. Even Park Hae-il in Best Actor, why don't you? You got Till, which is still yet to screen. This probably will be a good movie, I think. But Deadweiler may creep her way into the Best Actress race. There's like a little early birdie buzz that she's actually like fucking phenomenal, and maybe that's not even surprising.
Now, RRR, I still just have like a tiny little twinkle of wonder that maybe this film could surge and people could just like celebrities just start posting like, nominate RRR, just do it, and then suddenly people are trying to do it. And the thing with this is that I don't know what categories outside of Best Picture this is even like a contender for.
Song, costumes, production design, score, like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean I would say like cinematography would be deserving. This wasn't submitted for India's International Film pick.
Why?
I don't know why.
Why?
The studio has said, and like, again, this is just lip service. Like, they're just saying, oh, we intend to submit RRR for all the Oscars categories. Like,
submitting it doesn't do anything.
I could roll like an 100-sided die, and I could like maybe color one of those sides and say like, this is a universe where RRR is nominated.
And finally, Bardo. I think this is pretty done. Some people aren't ready to quite like close the curtain on this one, but I think even with the re-edit, which made it 20 minutes shorter, and possibly another re-edit. Inuyuki says he's open to re-editing it more. I don't think that's going to change the movie so much that it's going to avoid the reactions that it's gotten. It really has been hit hard with this label of self-indulgent, and that's already tainted the movie, I think.
But from the trailer, from my impression of the trailer, this looks like it's purposefully self-indulgent, and I'm kind of excited for it.
I'm cutting off the list at 21, because I'd be very surprised if anything else was contending. Like, the sun is gone. The sun is gone. Anything else, I don't really believe in, like, the Batman, or I don't know.
After Sun, we kind of had our eye out for, like, could this do really well? Like, could people start talking about it for Best Picture? There are those who love it, and there are a lot of people who are like, I just like that movie.
It's also just not the kind of movie. Like, it's a little slow, and I don't think that's gonna happen. All right, Best Director. Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans #1. Although most people agree with this, some will argue, okay, The Fabelmans, it's not on the scale of Saving Private Ryan, Schindler's List. It's not the biggest technical achievement of the year, which is true, but Spielberg has another narrative, which is that it's his narrative. Now, typically that actually doesn't help that much in the director category, but I think when you've got a movie that is going to be inevitably a top 2 film, that's pretty important.
I can see The Fabelmans winning Best Picture and Director, like they go together, wherever it wins Best Picture. But like, if certain places don't want to give it Best Picture, then Director can also go somewhere else. It's not like the most astonishing example of like filmmaking or like driving film forward.
My question is like, who else is really contending for the win though?
I legitimately think Jamie and Giselle for Babylon, because this is his biggest film, and he won for La La Land, which was a big film.
This is 3 times the budget of La La Land. Do you think it matters that he won pretty recently?
I think it matters not enough, because if he impresses the shit out of everybody and people are like, whoa, you did something that no one else did this year. Spielberg, he made this like cozy little movie about his childhood, but you did this thing with elephants and like crazy camera movements and whatever you're doing.
A lot of people still won't agree with us that Daniels are getting nominated for director, but I think that they're going to be in there. I think they're going to get DGA.
How do you not?
They're going to get Critics' Choice.
There's nothing about this film that was like autopiloted. Nothing. And nobody else could have made the film that they did.
Well, yeah, what a vision.
This doesn't make any sense.
What a vision.
To not nominate this for director.
Todd Field for Tar. The directors are they're just going to like it.
Yeah,
this branch is just going to go for it. They're going for it.
Unless Tar slips completely from Best Picture.
Even if it fucking did.
Even if it slipped from Best Picture, you think this would get director?
It could do that. And then Sarah Polley for Women Talking. I feel like this is a solid 5. And if you cracked it, there would be some shock waves, I think. Could it hurt that people don't love the color palette decision, and maybe people feel like, well, we're probably giving her screenplay, so that's where we're honoring her? But I think that people are going to want to say, let's give Sarah Polley an honor as the director of the movie. Like, I definitely think that people are going to want to do that.
And Sarah Polley is very well respected. A lot of people will say this is her best movie, and it's her most awards movie. Like,
it's her most ambitious movie.
I like this 5, but I do think if I have my eye on the horizon for somebody else to run out and scare me, it could be Martin McDonagh for Banshees of Inisherin.
It's interesting because we all know that he got snubbed for 3 Billboards, even though that was a top 2 movie. So why would we think that he could spoil here? Well,
I think this is better work in a sense than 3 Billboards was. Like, I don't like the movie quite as much as 3 Billboards, but I still think this is stronger work from him, in that all the choices like throughout are kind of perfect.
Yeah, it has more people, I think, saying that he's like a master of his craft, and the cinematography is more well realized than 3 Billboards.
Yeah, I think it's a lot like Fargo. I'm actually surprised I haven't heard more comparisons to Fargo. It feels like competent in the way that a Coen Brothers film is always very competent.
Yeah, it feels a little more like auteur for him, and that's why I think that he could threaten this category. Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness. I think there's always a shot that he could get in, and he's well respected. He's an auteur. They like that shit. Yeah. But if the movie's not so strong in picture, it's a little ambiguous. Edward Berger for All Quiet on the Western Front. That's definitely possible if it gets into picture. I'm not convinced that just because it's international that he would get nominated. I think that he doesn't have much of a history that people are familiar with as a director. And maybe they could just be comfortable like saying, like, you know, we'll give it the tech nominations or whatever. Park Chan-wook's decision to leave, that is also a possibility. I think he would deserve a nomination, and it would be nice to see him finally get recognized. And James Cameron for Avatar, I mean, that's definitely possible. If people are talking about how James Cameron has once again advanced the medium, that's pretty good.
Although that could get like a Denis Villeneuve snub in the way of Dune. And then everybody else, you have like Aronofsky, The Whale, Gina Prince Bythewood for The Woman King, and Baz Luhrmann for Elvis. I think those are really long shots.
Don't forget Joseph Kosinski for Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, I get. Yeah, these are all like long shots.
The thing that could happen.
Not things that I would actually consider putting in there.
All right, Best Actor, Brendan Fraser. You know, I did think when I saw the movie, I was like, it's kind of done. It's a little bit done.
His standing ovations, his insane like celebrity like fangirl status all of a sudden.
The narrative that there is to like celebrate Brendan Fraser's comeback and everything he's been through leading to this grand moment for him. Everybody knows about this comeback. I mean, like The Rock retweeted this moment of him getting a standing ovation that got like 300,000 likes. Like the video of him getting a standing ovation went viral. Like people know what's going on with Brendan Fraser, and they know that he's like,
I honestly think he's already won the Oscar.
Also, the fact that this is winning makeup too, even if Elvis was in Best Picture and The Whale wasn't in Best Picture, I still probably would predict Brendan Fraser unless Austin Butler like took the SAG or something like that.
It'd be fun though, because a lot of people would be like, guys, the rule, and then they would self-destruct, and then they wouldn't be correct, and then it'd be like, well, you know, the rule got broken, sorry.
Yeah, the rule's gonna get broken eventually. Like we can say that with a certainty as long as the Oscars keep going.
He's insanely good in it, even though some people will maybe try to shit on it because they don't like how it's portraying this 600-pound man. Those people just won't matter to like all the other people that feel he's giving a moving performance. Like,
no, but even everybody who's had a problem with The Whale, they still say, don't get me wrong, Brendan Fraser's amazing and he should win his Oscar, but I hate this movie.
There you go.
And then Colin Farrell, Banshees of Inisherin, I think he's locked in at this point. He's locked in. And I think that if critics are like, yeah, we think The Whale's okay, we think Elvis is okay, like, I think Colin Farrell might be the #1 awarded actor with critics groups.
Maybe number two.
I think he
might
two.
Split a lot of them with Brendan Fraser.
Now here's where things get uncertain. I don't know if Hugh Jackman's getting nominated for this. I'm like, I don't know. There is a history of people getting nominated without their movie in Best Picture for rotten films on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's kind of a short list, and particularly in the Best Actor category, it does not occur much. The list is basically like Denzel Washington and Roman J. Israel Esquire. Like, I don't know if Hugh Jackman is Denzel Washington, but the Best Actor race is maybe empty enough where he could get it or not. Like, I'm very comfortable with the idea that like he could just be out. It's definitely possible.
Yeah, I'm coming around to it too, even though I think he deserves a nomination for the performance. I thought he was great in it. Enough people won't have a problem with it that they can probably look at his performance and go, okay, that's worthy. If this were a more crowded category, then he wouldn't be in for me. Like he's on the chopping block.
Diego Calva, I think he looks good from the trailer. Like, it looks like he's going to be really good. And he's the lead of Babylon. I'll put him in for that reason alone. And you can have faith that he's got a well-written, interesting character to explore. And then there's Bill Nighy in Living, who really, you know, I wanted to deny it for a long time. And I guess I'm still technically in denial. But this is very possible now, I think, because of how thin this race has gotten. And the fact that his performance has been praised a lot. He's never been nominated. There's definitely a narrative there. The movie is really, really just not in contention for anything else, I guess. Some people would argue adapted screenplay, but I'm not sure about that. So it's kind of weird, but he doesn't even need a lot of nominations. Like, you could literally just give him a BAFTA nomination and then he can get an Oscar nomination. Like, that's all you need. And it's also Sony Pictures Classics, and they pulled that shit off with Penelope Cruz.
It's kind of interesting because when I saw it at Sundance, I was like, this is easily the kind of movie where people just don't really do anything with it. It almost felt like it could have been this year's Jockey, where people were like, Clifton Collins Jr., and it's like, not gonna happen anywhere. I still think that could be the case.
And then 7, we have Tom Cruise for Top Gun Maverick. You really have to take this seriously with the race looking like it does at the moment. It might not even be because the performance is like a Best Actor worthy performance. I mean, he has moments that are really good. Like, he's got Oscar clips in a way. Like, he does cry. It's emotional. But really, people just love Tom Cruise so much. It could just be because we love Tom Cruise.
But he also has a producer credit, and people might have an easier time just being like, you're in the best picture. That's like your nomination. You don't need to be best actor. That'd be insane if he got nominated.
I think he's going to come closer than people think. Like, I think he could get Golden Globe drama actor. I think he could get Critics' Choice. So this is a thing a lot of people don't even fucking know about, I think. Jim Parsons, for spoiler alert, the hero dies. From what I've seen of Jim Parsons, especially in The Boys in the Band, I thought he was like okay in the lead role in that, and he got outshined by a lot of people in the supporting cast. I saw a couple test screening reactions that they did think that the movie was very good and that he was very good. What is this movie? This is based on a memoir about a man who stayed by his husband while he was dying of cancer, and it's directed by Michael Showalter, who did The Big Sick and The Eyes of Tammy Faye. So this is probably going to be like a pretty agreeable tearjerker kind of movie that has a good amount of comedy in it. I'm just looking at other people because I think the race is so thin. You kind of got to wonder if somebody else could surprise. Also, Tom Hanks in A Man Called Otto. A Man Called Ove, which this is a remake of, people thought was charming and had tearjerker moments.
Could Kelvin Harrison Jr. come up for Chevalier?
Well, I would have him higher if I knew that it was this year. I'd probably have him at number 8. But I don't know if it's this year or not, so I don't know what to do with that. You know, there's Jeremy Pope in The Inspection, who people say is really good. I just don't think it's going to actually happen. Park Hae-il in Decision to Leave. That would be cool if critics hyped him up a little bit.
Song Kang-ho for Broker, like, just don't think it's happening.
I also really don't think that Adam Driver is happening for White Noise. Like, I just don't think he's going to go along with that. Paul Mescal for After Sun, maybe he'll do pretty well with critics and get like an Indie Spirit nomination, but I think that's going to be it.
Christian Bale. Probably not for Amsterdam, but like maybe for The Pale Blue Eye, but probably not.
Best Actress. I don't know who's number 1. This is actually going to be a really interesting race for the win, and I don't think it's going to be a snug one. I don't think we're going to have a sweeper. Cate Blanchett for Tar is apparently giving a performance that is like more than worthy of an Academy Award. She already has 2, but that didn't stop, Frances McDormand from winning a 3rd. Of course, Frances McDormand was in the Best Picture winning Nomadland. So maybe Tar, if it's not a top 5 movie, could be at a disadvantage there. But people do respect Cate Blanchett like so fucking much. And I feel like if she keeps doing this, she's going to get a 3rd Oscar eventually.
I mean, critics are going to shower her with awards, I think. And people are saying it's such a masterful performance.
Michelle Yeoh, I think there's a lot of people who would love to give Michelle Yeoh an Oscar for this movie. Maybe the performance itself doesn't so much scream like this is an Oscar-winning performance, but there is a lot of goodwill for Michelle Yeoh, and people will say, look, for the first time in like literally forever, you have an Asian woman in this category, and you have the opportunity to go even further and like give her the Oscar. And that could happen for this movie too. I really do consider her in the winning conversation as well. Margot Robbie in Babylon, the performance that we had at number 1 until now. Now, there is, I guess, a possibility that she goes supporting, but I'm not going to take that seriously unless that actually becomes like the announcement. She maybe has the baitiest performance here. From what I heard, like she's screaming and crying and freaking out. Her character's huge personality. You can see it in the trailer. So maybe like critics are going Blanchett Yeoh, Blanchett Yeoh, Blanchett Yeoh, and then all of a sudden SAG says, boom, Margot Robbie. Like, something like that could happen, I think.
I think you should put Daniel Deadwyler number 4, because there are some people that I take seriously who are like, whoa, she could win. Whoa, she could win. Everybody,
listen,
hold up here. Everyone stop what you're doing in the actress race.
But her movies, even those people don't think her movie's getting nominated. So how's that going to work? This category doesn't have the correlation with Best Picture nominees that Best Actor does, but that's also because there are usually less Oscar contenders with female protagonists. But this year, the Best Actress race is looking like it has all the Best Picture nominees in it. I'm not going to say she's going to win yet, but we're going to see the movie soon, so we'll find out if that's possible. But look, if I'm hearing that she's that fucking good and that she's going to be undeniable, I had to squeeze her in and at all costs.
So Michelle Williams, we talked about this. If you need to see our analysis about what the fuck happened here and you're going, what the fuck's happening here? We talked about Michelle Williams being moved to lead, being campaigned in lead. I've become more convinced that it's not just going to be something that the Oscars goes and like overreaches and says like, actually you're supporting. I think people will just be like, okay, you want to be campaigning lead? It's harder, but like, we'll let you.
I just feel like this performance just will get nominated for an Oscar so much that even though there's such a strong case to make for Olivia Colman or Viola Davis, like such a strong case, I feel like I just have to keep in Michelle Williams.
Yeah, it would be so weird for that performance not to get nominated for an Oscar. I don't know why they moved it to the lead. I just don't understand. Like, she would have won in supporting probably, but here we have it.
I can't believe I don't have Olivia Colman anymore. I mean, I thought easily she can survive whatever happens to Empire of Light because she's still working at the top of her game. You never know if your movie's not safe. You're not always safe.
And last year was weird because every actress nominee was not in a Best Picture movie. This year, it's kind of the opposite. 4 out of 5 people that we're seeing so far. It's yet another great Olivia Colman performance, but purely based on the fact that Empire of Light could be like tanking a little bit. We just decided to move her out. Like, we had to make room for Williams. We had to make room for Deadweiler. We're taking these seriously. And a lot of people are saying, well, I'm going to take Margot Robbie out, but I just don't think we're confident about that.
Okay, why the fuck is everyone taking Margot Robbie out? Like,
because they haven't seen the movie and they want to make room and they don't know what to do.
That's going to happen. Well, that's just going to happen.
Well, like, I think there's some doubt that she's in lead now, but I don't think that's not enough I don't think it's that legit.
When you say, hey, maybe Olivia Colman's not in there, I say, hey, we could go an extra step and put Viola Davis above her. Because I'll tell you this.
Well, shit.
People who see that movie, people who see The Woman King, they go, Viola Davis will be nominated for that, right? And if she's not nominated, people are like, wait, Viola Davis didn't get nominated for The Woman King? Like, what?
They're going to be so really confused. Good in it, though. She's like, really good.
People, it's just one of those things where people are like, right? That's happening, right? Do you think she's above Olivia Colman?
I'm like okay saying it because I agree that if I'm like Empire of Light could fall more than just Best Picture, and I'm not saying it's even done for that 100%. This isn't like Olivia Colman's best performance. It's not the best cinematography from Roger Deakins. It's not the best score from Reznor and Ross. Like it's not doing the best of very much at all. So I do wonder if like the movie's just gonna fall like completely.
I don't need Michelle Williams in over Viola Davis and Olivia Colman. Like me personally, I don't need her in over those people, and I don't. Maybe other people will start to. Maybe Michelle.
Are you going to take Michelle Williams out for Viola Davis? Is that what you're about to do?
I don't think it's a good judgment to do that because I think Michelle Williams will be nominated. It's just a what if because I feel like if The Woman King gets picture, Viola Davis is going to get nominated. That's what I think.
I would think it's funny if Michelle Williams didn't get nominated. There's a possibility because this is fucking stacked.
I also want to say I don't take it lightly that Olivia Colman's number 7. I don't take it lightly.
It's fucking weird. One thing I know people are going to say is like, she's Olivia Colman. Whenever she's up for an award, she always gets nominated. Yeah. That's been true so far, motherfucker. Yes,
Olivia Colman's 5 years old. We don't know.
She's 5 years into her Oscar career. Like,
it's gonna.
Amy Adams got snubbed for her last movie, Arrival.
That's not her last movie.
Or her last movie to get a nomination, like really, really high up there. Yeah, there are people who they love to nominate a lot, and then one day they'll just not nominate you if your movie is, not like
Viola Davis didn't get nominated for Widows. Naomi Akin, I Want to Dance with Somebody. She was number 5. She was in the top 5 not too long ago. That's also tricky because this is an Anthony McCartan written movie, and his track record with getting lead actors nominated is insane. And this is another Bohemian Rhapsody type situation. Like, we're kind of getting tired of generic musical biopics, and this absolutely looks like yet another generic music biopic. So I think she could be Jennifer Hudson in respect this year then. The trailer is not really showing like the whole like downfall part, so we don't get to see a lot of the screaming and crying, but it's going to be in there. Like there's going to be a lot there. Still curious about that one. I just think there's not much beyond that. But if you want to really play that game, Carey Mulligan and She Said, Ana de Armas for Blonde, which is not happening because that movie, literally the letterbox curve could keep out the Mongolians. Emma Thompson, good luck. That's just Golden Globe nomination.
You're just like listing stuff that's not
going to Rooney Mara, Women Talking, though, that is rumored that they're going to throw her in lead to sacrifice her in order to get Claire Foy and...
just to make sure there's nothing getting fucked up in the way of Claire Foy and Jessie Buckley's nominations.
I mean, I think if anyone's lead, it's her. But it is, kind of unfortunate because I think she deserves the nomination just as much as the others. Tong Wei for Decision to Leave. Mia Goth for... I wanted to just throw that in there because I was like, this is as good as any of those horror performances that doesn't get nominated, like Elizabeth Moss, Toni Collette, Lupita. She's amazing in this, and she has a fucking monologue on her face. The camera doesn't cut for like 5 minutes, and it's crazy. Like, I hope some Critics Awards go for her.
Even Rebecca Hall for Resurrection, like another horror performance that is insanely good. Also has a monologue, won't be nominated for an Oscar.
Also, Jennifer Lawrence in Causeway, she's not doing enough in this movie. She is just very, like, subtle, somber performance. Like, she's good in it, but it's not like...
It's very good. It's not the best performance of the year. And it's not, like, her best performance.
But, like, if you have her in, like, I'm just gonna, like, I need to put my hand on your shoulder, and, like, we need to have a heart-to-heart, and I just, like, look... Just take it off. Supporting actress is, thrown off, as we said, because Michelle Williams probably won't be here, but could be here, but probably won't be here. A lot of people are thinking Claire Foy for Women Talking, and, that has taken off, and a lot of people are kind of buying that now.
I mean, she is an Emmy winner for The Crown. A lot of people have seen The Crown. A lot of people fucking love The Crown. And she gives, like, the kind of powerful... magnetic performance that you would expect from her.
She has two.
Where you're like, well, shit, you could do anything. Like, you're a crazy actress. You're, like, insane.
Big time Oscar clips in this movie.
That's what's important, really, I think.
Jessie Buckley does too, though. She's really good. I might even like that performance a little more. I mean, the question is, are people gonna single file line behind Claire Foy and not Jessie Buckley? Like, will that be hard for people to do? Or maybe people could just get with it, Like, Claire Foy wins a big award and everyone goes, okay, I know that that's what's happening and we're going to go with that. Like, I think that's what could go on here.
I have not seen a performance besides Michelle Williams and The Fabelmans where it's like, that will win the Oscar. So we could be having a fun year. We could be having a very fun year for this category. I wonder if some critics will give Carrie Condon the award for Banshees of Inisherin.
She'll win some stuff.
I think she'll win some stuff. And I think she'll be pretty strong.
She's in. We see how the audience reacts to her performance. Like,
72 is great in Everything Ever All at Once. I hope she still gets in. I'm very glad to see that people are taking that seriously. I've never felt like completely sold that she gets nominated.
I think critics are going to help her out, though. I think she's going to start, like, I think when awards season actually starts, she's going to show up places. She's not just going to disappear.
Hong Chow in The Whale is interesting because, again, I think that could go either way. Especially if The Whale is not in Best Picture, I don't know if she gets in.
But a lot of people really like her performance. I think there's a lot of talk that she's going to happen for this.
And she has a scene where it's her and someone that's not Brendan Fraser. I think that's actually very important for her in this.
That's the Oscar scene, yeah.
She's strong.
Yeah.
And I think she has come out above Sadie Sink in a significant enough way that there won't be infighting to get into that slot. Like, I think it would be Hong Chow or bust.
Janelle Monáe for Glass Onion. I still will say that I didn't feel like a performance that would get nominated, even though she's really good. I mean, if Glass Onion got in Best Picture, I could maybe concede.
It's kind of like nominating Ana de Armas for Knives Out 1. It's like if Ana de Armas were just in less of the movie, but like we're as good as she is. It's a funny performance. She shows an unexpected range, but she doesn't like cry. Does she cry? I don't think she cries. A really good performance, very fun inside of a mystery film. I don't think it like ascends higher than that.
Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans is here because there is a chance that this happens.
Yeah, and then if she gets in, if she gets nominated, she'll just fucking win.
And Tusa Mubedu, like, I think there's a way that she could get in.
Oh, yeah. No, and I think, like, she has as many acting chops as maybe like one less chop than Viola Davis, but like almost as many chops as Viola Davis.
And they have like a very similar amount of screen time too.
Tuzo is more of a lead, actually. I hope she gets nominated. I'll say that. I hope she gets nominated for The Woman King.
Some people think that they're going to nominate like Lashana Lynch. I think that they would be smart to concentrate it all around Tusa Mubedu.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's going to be room for others. And then Dolly DeLeon, Triangle of Sadness. I think, you know, if we're saying the movies maybe not, then this is probably... Triangle of Sadness would need to be like a number 7 for her to get in.
I honestly don't even think she would get in, like, if the movie got in. I think even that would be kind of a stretch. She's great in it. She's really only in, like, the last act, though. I would say she's, like, the standout in that act. But there's a lot of great performances in that film, and she's like one of them.
And then there's the category fraud for She Said, because they're going to put somebody...
You just said category fraud.
They're going to drop someone, okay? And honestly...
Well, I think it would be fair. I think there's one case where I don't have a problem with it. Carey Mulligan goes lead, and Zoe Kazan is supporting, because it's hard to campaign 2 people in lead.
Yeah,
you have to pick somebody.
Okay, but think about this. If you know for sure that Carey Mulligan doesn't have a shot in lead and Zoe Kazan doesn't really have a shot in supporting, then why wouldn't you say Carey Mulligan supporting Zoe Kazan lead? Because we can probably get Carey Mulligan in there if we do that. It's somewhat likely.
I don't disagree, but why don't you just say Carey Mulligan and She Said?
Because
that's what the category fraud would be. Well, I don't think Zoe Kazan's category fraud.
It is category fraud. They're both leads.
But Carey Mulligan's more of the protagonist.
Don't agree. Dual protagonist.
All right, if you say so. I don't know.
Equal.
I think Carey Mulligan has more of like an emotional core in that movie.
Only in the beginning, and then they abandon it. Then Angela Bassett in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. We're really judging this off of the powerhouse 5 seconds from the trailer, and we're kind of waiting and seeing if that's really what's going on here. What if that's the first acting nomination for
I will definitely make an argument here, though. Black Panther 1 had great performances, and Black Panther 2 knows that Black Panther 1 had great performances. Maybe she really does like ride this movie into an Oscar nomination and gets Marvel their first acting nomination.
You got Nina Hoss for Tar. I've heard like some people think this is possible. I'm curious when I see the movie what I'll think of this, but I don't know if it feels like there's room. And then hearing a lot about Gene Smart and Babylon. Gene Smart and Babylon this. Gene Smart and Babylon that. And then you say, oh, well, she's not really in the movie much. And then people go, Judi Dench in Belfast and Beatrice Straight in Network. And it's like, we don't need to jump through hoops to justify like Gene Smart and Babylon. We can just say, look, she may not have a lot of screen time, and that's that. I'm not going to have her in until I see the movie and people are actually hyping it up. And then I guess, Sally Field, spoiler alert, the hero dies. Jamie Lee Curtis, Everything Everywhere. And that's pretty much as far as I'm going to go. Supporting actor, I feel even better about Ke Huy Quan at number 1.
Really?
Yep, because now that we have the competition introduced to us and we know what it is, I feel like he has a better case than others to make for why he should win. And here is the case. He is the emotional center of the movie. People fucking love him, and they won't shut up about how much they love his character and his performance and the line where he says that in another life he wants to do laundry and taxes.
It's just a great character.
He also does this fun like switching between like different Waymans thing. There's a career narrative for him. I feel like it could easily happen for him. Yeah. I feel like the movie doesn't even need to win Best Picture for it to happen.
Yeah. I mean, damn, for a movie to win supporting actor and screenplay.
We keep saying it. Keep saying it.
Now, I have a question. Why don't you have Ben Whishaw at like number 2? Why not?
A lot of people apparently didn't see the movie I did. Where I've seen multiple people say, he seemed like he wasn't doing a lot. He seemed kind of subtle. And I'm like, the motherfucker had tears streaming down his face like the whole second half of the movie. Like, he was so like showy to me.
He did a lot.
He did a lot, I thought. And then there were people telling me, no, he's just kind of like subtly doing shit. I don't understand.
I think when we walked out of the movie, we said he's good enough, he could win.
That's what I said, yeah.
I think we both agreed. There's a lot of screen time for him. There's a lot of moments. And he shows range that he hasn't shown before. I think he's going to surprise people. I'm wondering if, like, maybe I should just stick to my guns and say my impression was correct. Like, I know what I saw. But I remember people, like, gaslighting me about, Chastain and Eyes of Tammy Faye. Like, it was good performance. And I was like, that's like an Oscar-winning performance. And then it just said, I would like to hear from you if you've seen this movie. Why do you not think he's in there? Like, what's going on? Did you not, like, feel that character and what he was going through? Did you not think that was a deeply written character? Did you not feel like he did a good job playing that character? Do you not feel like there was enough screen time? Because all those things I would say that all those were like there.
Brendan Gleeson in Banshees seems like a thing where like if I didn't watch the movie, I could see myself saying, oh, that could win. But because I've seen the movie, I don't think it feels like a winning performance.
Yeah, but it feels like he'll go along and get a nomination.
Yeah, his character like kind of remains a little bit elusive and strange to the end. And there's no like crying or anything, like kind of like
there's no huge payoff going with what's going on inside of him. He's great in it.
Brad Pitt in Babylon. I mean, we've seen the trailer now, and he's doing a lot of big shit, and that's just right. That's gonna happen. And then it's between Paul Dano and Judd Hirsch, and I think I might have to go with Judd Hirsch.
It's showier than Paul Dano, that's for sure.
But Paul Dano's in the movie a lot. And more than I thought he was going to be. He's just a very like kind of quiet father, but he does a great job. And Paul Dano, I feel like he does need an Oscar nomination. And a lot of people may feel that way. And maybe they could both get in if something happens. I think they're both going to get nominated for Critics' Choice.
If Judd Hirsch does actually get in for those 8 or 9 minutes in a row of screen time, like that's kind of a historical short amount of time to be nominated.
No, it's not.
And to be nominated for one scene, I just don't think that's happening.
Straight in Network won for 5 minutes.
I understand that, like, if you go back, you can find a couple examples, but that's the point. You can only find a couple.
There are performances like Michelle Williams in Manchester by the Sea where, yeah, she's not only in one scene, but when you think about her performance, you only think about the one scene. They're not really awarding her for like, popping up here and there.
That's a good point. And he's also kind of like Ingenue Ellis too. I mean, there's a few scenes that she has that are good, but there's that one scene that she's fucking incredible in.
And this is a long scene too. Like Judd Hirsch eats up these 9 minutes, big, like doing a ton of shit the whole time.
He doesn't cry in it, but but he's doing a lot.
Barry Keoghan for Banshees is a possible double nomination.
Maybe.
But, he kind of does just play like the dimwit of the town. He's really funny. He's really good. But, I don't think the character goes so deep. And then you have Michael Ward, Empire of Light.
I like that they're campaigning him and supporting, though. I do think that he wouldn't really stand a shot in lead.
And you got Brian Tyree Henry in Causeway. Brian Tyree Henry was so good in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, he really did make the movie for me. Something magical is happening whenever he's on screen.
Yeah. He was easily the best part of the film. He should win the Oscar. Like, he really should. But Causeway is so small that, like, I just don't think people are going to talk about it like that. If he gets nominated, that will be a feat because, again, Causeway is like a small movie that not many people are going to care a lot about.
Woody Harrelson for Triangle of Sadness, I don't totally buy. Anthony Hopkins, Armageddon Time, like, maybe a little bit of hype there, but I don't really buy that either. And, there's also Jeremy Strong in Armageddon Time. We don't know who would even get that, and it's not even going to happen.
This is, like, silly at
Ray
this point.
Fiennes in The Menu. I mean, is there a world?
I don't know. Probably not.
Seth Rogen, I don't think is going to happen for Fabelmans, and beyond that, I think Eddie Redmayne for The Good Nurse has potential to become Jared Leto in The Little Things, but that'd be too like direct of a parallel, and I don't think it's gonna happen. Original screenplay will probably be Everything Everywhere or Fabelmans, with a maybe for Banshees actually, which is interesting to say. Everything Everywhere I think could win screenplay, even as like a Get Out-esque consolation prize for the film, or Promising Young Woman type of win.
You mean like if it doesn't win Best Picture?
Yeah, even if it didn't win Best Picture.
But the problem is that the Best Picture winner is in this category. That's a problem.
Yeah.
When is the last time a film has won Best Picture without screenplay?
The Shape of Water.
And then what?
The Artist.
It's not that much.
It's not, you're right.
And you have to win director if that's not the case. And I guess like Fabelmans could win director if that's not the case. So
yeah,
maybe you're right.
It would.
But I also could see this category becoming a microcosm of the Best Picture race.
Also, what is the Fabelmans going to win? Just director and picture? No.
Like last year, we had it was between Coda and Power of the Dog in Best Picture and Best Screenplay, and because Coda started winning Best Screenplay, it clued everybody in that Coda could win Best Picture if it was beating it in Screenplay. And that, like, honestly, that's the reason why people switched over. When the BAFTAs gave it Screenplay, people thought, well, shit, it's over. If the Fabelmans is winning Screenplay, I'm shitting my pants. Because I'm thinking Everything Ever All at Once won't win without screenplay.
Also, with Fabelmans, you get to give an award to Spielberg, which, I mean, they can do the director, but you double it. You get to give the award to Tony Kushner, who's never won an Oscar, and is one of the most respected, screenwriter, playwright people, like just writers in the biz.
Also, in the Q&A, I will say, he and Spielberg were talking like together about their collaboration, and it was interesting. They kind of framed it like the screenplay was a therapy sort of session between Spielberg and Kushner, and then like what do they put on the page?
And you have Banshees of Inisherin, and McDonagh has never won an Oscar. He came pretty close for Three Billboards, and this movie, the writing is just amazing, really. The comedy, everything's so well written here. In a certain year, in a certain competition, I think he could win. I just
if this was an adapted, I think it could win.
Yeah, but it is not. By the way, it's not. We actually had it there because we thought we were being smart and ahead of the game last time. But in fact, it's been pretty confirmed that this is original. The play that McDonagh wrote, The Banshees of Inisherin, has nothing to do with the movie. He just took that title because he thought it was a good title. Babylon, that's kind of just an easy nomination to say that it's getting. And then Tar. You got all the Best Picture nominees here. Triangle of Sadness, I really, really thought this could be like, at minimum, The Lobster. Due to competition, like maybe it can't.
When I was watching it though, I really did feel like, oh, this is a movie that gets a Best Screenplay nomination because the script is on fire.
What if they do boot out Tar and they're like, look, like we just really want to get it nominated?
I don't know that Tar would be the one that gets booted out, even though.
I mean, it's a strong category.
We gotta see, but
Triangle could still pull it off. It could.
I hope so.
Other movies that could, Bros, like, I feel like that might get WGA. And then there's Decision to Leave if they want to boost that up in international or something like that. The Woman King, I don't think anyone really thinks the writing's the most strong part of that movie. Till, The Menu, Empire of Light's not going to happen. That's
kind of it.
Yeah, very top-heavy category. Adapted screenplay, I really feel like there's just not a good case to make for anything except for women talking right now. Unless something else jumped into the category, like This is it. Women talking, and then, you give Sarah Polley an Oscar, and that feels really nice.
It's, again, a case where you're going to give the writer-director an Oscar for the movie that is also nominated for Best Picture, and probably Best Director. And the screenplay's really good for women talking.
I guess something she said could come up, just because that hasn't been seen, but I'm not sure it would pose a threat, because women talking, I mean, the script, the dialogue, and the topics that are explored and how they're explored. I mean, I don't think you're going to beat that. Interesting. Number 2, I actually have Glass Onion over The Whale. And the reason is because I don't think Glass Onion will fall out of this category, but The Whale, could.
I'm now that you say it, I fully agree.
One's more of a lock in a weird way. One's more of a lock. And then there's The Whale, which I still think is a really good bet. I mean, obviously, not everybody loves the script, and some people have problems that are from the script, but it is a possible Best Picture nominee, and it's very, very righty, talky movie. Yep. And then She Said, which looks decent when you look at the competition. Like, that movie is very much a righty movie. Number 5, I'll tell you what most people have, and I will tell you why I'm fucking refusing. Most people say White Noise.
Really?
White Noise will get nominated here. Happen. And I'm like, no, it won't. I'm so sorry. This is you said this about First Cow. You said this about I'm Thinking of Ending Things. You said it about I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Okay? We were in the same position. It's just not gonna happen. I know it's Noah Baumbach and they're like, oh, well, they could go for a writer. They don't do that. They just don't do it. And so I think it's gonna be something else. But the answer to the question, what else, is actually really, really difficult to answer for me. And that's why it does seem like you could just default to White Noise, but because I'm so sure it's not going to be White Noise, then I can't do it.
I still think you need to have All Quiet as a very possible option.
Here it is.
Like, number 6.
What's the writing in that movie?
It doesn't matter. You have it getting nominated for Best Picture, and it's adapted from a beloved source material. That's enough. You have the Batman.
The Batman is a detective movie, by the way.
Bitch, if I said, I have a gun to your head, I say, what's getting nominated?
I said
All Quiet or The Batman. You're really going to tell me?
The Batman's more likely.
Really?
It's a detective movie with a mystery woven into it. I don't know, there's something there.
But I think All Quiet could kind of easily get it if you think it's getting Best Picture.
All Quiet, the writing's okay. It's just nothing.
I agree that the writing's fine, but it could just be part of the package given that people love the source material. It's like a way to honor the source material.
That's kind of fair. Other possibilities, and I don't know how the fuck to order any of this, because I just think that all of these are possibilities, but I don't know how to quantify how much of possibilities there are. Spoiler alert, the hero dies. That's going to be a dramedy. Kind of like The Big Sick, but you don't have that Kumail Nanjiani factor where everyone knows the writer behind it. So that's not going to help it. Bones and All, people do like that. It does feel like a movie that the Oscars wouldn't really go near, and especially because of the horror elements, but it is well-liked enough that you could consider it a possibility. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio even, maybe we'll get that, if that's a really big movie and maybe it's playing in other categories like score. Maybe Black Panther or Avatar, even though the first movies didn't get nominated in screenplay. A lot of people think Living's happening, because Bill Nighy might carry the movie into the awards conversation a bit, but I just don't really think that's gonna happen.
That's
nor
fair
is
to
it
speculate about, though.
It is, but is it necessary?
This category is just woefully lacking in contenders.
I do think The Sun's dead even here. I don't think there's a chance.
I wouldn't say there's no chance, but there's not a good chance.
But why did I put Top Gun Maverick in? Over
shit.
all those things. My answer is very simple. It's number 6 for Best Picture. People like Top Gun.
Okay. That's true.
People like the movie. That's it.
I don't disagree with you, really.
I understand that it's the type of movie that would miss screenplay.
I'll say this. I could see it over White Noise.
Cinematography is Babylon the front runner. Some people think The Fabelmans will win, but really, I didn't see that I didn't see The Fabelmans being a winning movie.
No.
I don't think it's going to West Side Story. Babylon is going to be the most showy cinematography of the year. We can see that in the trailer, can't we? Yeah. And then, look, Top Gun Maverick at number 3.
Well, shit.
Once again, okay.
It's another case where I need to survey the other movies here.
I think it's
weird looking. It's orange. It's bathed in an orange glow.
There are lots of
they put the camera in shots. The plane. I guess
they put the camera in the plane. It's a good looking movie. It's from Claudio Miranda, and that shot and that scene in the beginning of the movie where he's flying high above the earth is actually really beautiful. There's some great shots in that movie. It's from an Oscar-winning cinematographer. I actually think it's weird that we've been denying it up to this point. Why not just say fuck it? Top Gun cinematography. They put the camera in the plane.
I guess.
It was a beautiful looking movie. I mean, I don't even hate it.
I'll let you have it. I'll just let you have it.
I don't even hate it. All Quiet, that's for you.
I like it. I'm not totally convinced that All Quiet gets nominated for cinematography, but if the Oscar voters get a look at this thing, I don't know how you don't, in a way. Like, you could do the film Twitter thing where you just, like, take 4 shots in the movie and you just, like, throw them into a tweet. And you're like, nominate it! And people are like, well, I mean, yeah, look at those shots. And I think the thing that kind of sells myself on it is to think, is there a world where it could win? And to that, I would say, maybe. Because, I just think it's stronger than The Fabelmans and other movies here. Avatar, I'm being more and more convinced of, though, because you keep, like, throwing out these fucking numbers about the frame rate and the 3D. You know, it wasn't like the trailer sold me, but...
I mean, the first one won cinematography, and...
Yeah.
I think people are going to be like totally immersed and impressed with the look of this movie, and so, you know, why not? And then you're watching this and you're screaming, how the fuck are you leaving out Deakins?
For Top Gun Maverick. No less.
Top Gun Maverick.
No less.
Here's why I'm leaving out Deakins. Although he is Roger Deakins, and that does put him very, very high, Empire of Light does not have the most memorable cinematography that he's ever done. Obviously, because he did it, it is like a very nice looking movie, okay?
Yeah. But that's kind of what it is. Like, it's a very nice looking movie.
What if it's like the Goldfinch didn't get nominated for cinematography? It was the same year as 1917, but like it wouldn't have. It wouldn't have.
The Goldfinch, yes. Have you taken it out of every category? Is that what we're about to discover?
We'll have to see, won't we? Have to see.
Oh my God.
It'd be fucking weird if Empire of Light got goose egged, but like at this point, I honestly feel like it is wobbly in all categories.
But there's stuff that like once stuff starts to wobble, sometimes it does get goose egged. That happens.
The French Dispatch.
Even Rocketman, like in a sense, got goose egged because they couldn't deny it for song, but other than that, it was goose egged.
Like now that we've given Deakins 2 Oscars for like insane achievements in cinematography, like what does Empire of Light stack up like to his recent work? Like where does it stack up? Like it's not the best.
No, this is a competitive category. I'm looking at your 7 and your 8, and I'm saying those could be nominated too. I still think Bardo has a good shot.
Almost too wide.
Maybe too wide of angles. Maybe too wide of angles, but it's like an undeniably gorgeous looking movie. I guess. I haven't seen it, but nobody will deny that the cinematography is really great and it's extremely showy. If the movie was shot the same way, but it was just good, like people just thought it was good and people thought it was like worthy of Best Picture, then it would be possibly winning cinematography.
Yeah, that's true.
And like nothing would have to change. And then Banshees of Inisherin, I think that one is really strong. Like I said in the review, I think it's one of the strongest parts of the film. And I was kind of blown away by how like beautiful of a movie it is, especially the like I said, the interior lighting. You could do like the film Twitter thing with the landscapes, but you could also do it with any shot in the movie. That's what's impressive to me.
And the Batman, I think the love for Greg Fraser could continue. He just won an Oscar for Dune, and the Batman is like an amazing looking movie. It's just probably going to suffer from being generally not in Best Picture and being an early movie. Still possible, and like you can see the ASC doing it too. Maybe Women Talking looked good other than the color grade. The Woman King, I could see some people like wanting that to happen. Decision to Leave. Wakanda Forever, honestly, like
if that movie's in for Best Picture, I think cinematography may very well be on the table.
Editing, Everything Everywhere versus Top Gun, I still think that remains true. Despite all the fall festival movies and everything, these two are still duking it out for that win.
Yep.
Everything Everywhere has an edit every single frame. It's like
I honestly feel like the counter argument, though, to Everything Everywhere winning in this category is that it's more shaky for a sound nomination.
Yeah, maybe.
And like a movie hasn't won Best Editing without getting a sound nomination a long ass time, right? The Departed.
Shit, not since The Departed.
Since 2006, that hasn't happened.
Yikes.
Okay, but
I mean, it could get sound.
There's 2 things you could say. You could say, one, it could just get sound, which it could.
They had a lot of sound effects.
A lot of sound effects.
It's weird.
It's a little goofy, but they did have a lot of sound effects.
Or maybe you could just say Top Gun Maverick wins this category.
Yeah, right. Or you could say Top Gun Maverick just takes it.
I don't know, though.
Because I don't think you can say...
People praise the fuck out of the editing in the movie.
They do.
Like it's a different kind of contender too.
Well, if it gets nominated for sound, then we're all going to be like, whew, okay.
Top Gun definitely feels like an editing winner too, though. Top Gun, that's got Ford v Ferrari energy all over it. And
it would kind of suck if Everything Everywhere didn't win.
Yeah.
Because if editing fell off for Everything Everywhere and then like it wasn't going to win actress, you'd be like, okay, editing is gone, so then there's just screenplay and picture, and then it would kind of feel like, oh shit.
Supporting actor.
Oh yeah, that's still fine.
You can get supporting actor, screenplay, picture for that movie, and it'd be just like all the other ones that win those 3. That's why it's not that hard for it to win. Once again,
I don't know how people have like Everything Everywhere at number 8. Like, if we can all get on the same page that it could win screenplay and supporting actor, that's like all you need to be like, that's in the top 5. That's
every year. That's the golden combo. And Babylon, like, come on, that's getting nominated. I mean, The Fabelmans will get nominated because it is The Fabelmans.
Yeah.
And Women Talking, that's a maybe. It's not a lock. Mm-hmm. But there was showy editing. Like, they had lots of montages and stuff like that.
They used some like asynchronous editing.
I think All Quiet is not the most Cuddy war movie, but by association, as like it is a war movie, like it could get nominated for editing, and there are showy moments. Like Banshees could get editing for sure. Like that could just be a thing that happens.
Great comedic timing. I think it would be well deserved.
Avatar: The Way of Water, probably like for if the movie gets picture. Glass Onion does have some split screen shenanigans going on.
Yeah.
Decision to Leave, I think there's a maybe universe where this movie gets an editing nomination, and it's random because the editing in this movie is so standout. You will notice and you'll be like, shit, they're doing some crazy shit here. But the editor's branch is not that adventurous. Production design, Babylon's winning. We've said it since the beginning of the year. The trailer's out. Everybody still agrees. I mean, you saw the party. You saw everything that was going. They built different genres of Hollywood epics. They like recreated those sets. Avatar is gonna get nominated. That's number 2. Black Panther is number 3.
All Quiet number 4. That's kind of high. I don't think that's like a guarantee for that movie. But
you could maybe put the Woman King in. Do you want to put the Woman King in for production design if we're going to predict it for Best Picture? I mean, you can do that. I feel like if All Quiet got picture, though, it would get production design.
Yeah. I'm also like, why is Glass Onion not getting nominated? They did a lot.
Because they're not going to nominate that for like screenplay and production design. Like, just realistically, they're not going to do it, but it should. I agree. Yeah.
I think the contemporary bias is real.
The Fabelmans doesn't need a production design nomination. Like, it actually didn't do that much that was crazy. Like, it's just people walking around their houses and in schools. Like,
no.
I just think it's gonna happen wherever they
It's like how The Irishman did not need a costumes nomination, but it got one.
Yeah.
The Irishman didn't need a sound nomination, but it got one. You do just enough, but they love your movie, they nominate you.
Elvis, people are more convinced than me.
You know, it's not Great Gatsby. I think it was more of a costume standout than a production design.
Costume design, Babylon, once again. How many costumes were there in that trailer? Hundreds, thousands?
Like the number matters.
There were like crowds of people everywhere.
I think you need to watch out for Wakanda Forever winning though, because when I looked at that trailer, every costume I paused on, I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's like feathers on that one. That guy has like a crazy nose piercing. Like, there's a lot of interesting.
Yeah,
shit.
But they might feel like they kind of already did it. They already gave it to her, but they could go for round 2 if they wanted.
But that's the thing is that Wakanda Forever feels leveled up.
Elvis, The Woman King. Which is like that's the one nomination I think the Woman King is going to get. If there's one, it's going to be this one.
Okay.
And then The Fabelmans, which, again, just a thing that it'll probably get by being a period movie that's number 2 for Best Picture or number 1.
That's a harder one to argue than production design, I think.
Why?
What, his dad had like a suit and a tie and looked like a dad from...
His mom wears dresses.
His mom wears dresses.
He went to high school where people were dressed.
Where people wear high school clothes.
The Irishman didn't...
It's all like normal shit.
But also there's not a good number 6, is there?
Miss Harris Goes to Paris, that would have to ride like a costume wave alone. And not that that never happens. It'd be like a Coming to America getting a makeup nomination.
I would say that if Chevalier came out this year, I would say that it probably will get nominated for costumes.
Okay.
But that's if it comes out this year. Everything Everywhere like has some weird costumes. Jobu Tupaki, that kind of shit. RRR had the kind of shit they've nominated if you really want to go there. But that's not going to happen. Or it could be something random. You know, like how Pinocchio got the nomination. Like they could go for something totally random. Makeup is going to be The Whale. That's you watch the movie, you're like, no shit, The Whale's winning makeup. The Batman, you got to nominate it for Colin Farrell, the Penguin. You got to nominate Elvis. They put makeup on Elvis and Tom Hanks.
They aged him.
Babylon's definitely getting makeup too. I watched the trailer just to see if I thought for sure this was happening, and I went, yeah, for sure. And then we have All Quiet on the Western Front.
That I think will definitely get nominated.
That's not a definite. You can't say that's definite. Clay all over his face. Like, there's a lot of shit in All Quiet. There's prosthetic limbs.
Yeah, there's people like dying and having their limbs severed. And
Black Panther, the first one didn't get nominated, so it makes me less confident about it. But there's still a case to be made. The Woman King X could still happen. Let's be real. The makeup category will reach pretty far,
especially with Pearl like throwing that series back into the conversation.
Everything Everywhere. No, that's possible because Jodie Tabaki did a lot of things. And then when they have Michelle Yeoh stand in for like the thing where they like do 24 frames a second, they changed up her look like for every one of those shots.
That's a stretch.
I'm just saying it's like gonna get a contemporary nomination. Thor: Love and Thunder, Christian Bale's character has some shit going on. Score, we got Babylon at number 1. We got Babylon kind of doing a tech sweep. I just haven't been convinced that anything else is winning.
Women Talking has a really good score, but I could just see it being beaten out by something else. It occurred to me like that it would get nominated, but not necessarily win.
And The Fabelmans was definitely not the most showy John Williams score. But again, like everything else, I think it'll just get nominated. Other people have a very kind of different look in top 5. I mean, well, I guess really just their 4 and 5. But we got historical reasons for the 4 and 5, okay? We got Banshees of Inisherin, which I saw the movie and I was like, they could totally nominate that for score. Carter Burwell's doing it. We even got nominated for 3 Billboards, and this score I thought was much better. The Woman King, look, we talked about it in our review. We thought this score was like okay. And yet there are a lot of people who love this music in the movie and they're hyping it up, and Terrence Blanchard got nominated twice.
I think some people just like that really epic feeling they get in music, and that's what they look for, and so they go, wow, there's this movie has that. And Terrence Blanchard has been nominated for Black Klansman and Da 5 Bloods. He got a nomination for Da 5 Bloods, which didn't get any other nominations. So that says something about how they feel about this man. They like him.
Yeah, I think the music branch likes Terrence Blanchard. And it's strange because you're booting out things that other people may consider sure things. Like The Batman, I mean, unfortunately, I've always felt like, even though this score deserves to be nominated, and it is one of the more iconic scores of 2022, it's one of those things where they just could snub it. I mean, look what happened to Tenet. Look what happened to Tenet. And I know that was a little bit thrown under the bus by Warner Brothers, campaigning-wise, but I don't know, I'm just saying. And then you have Empire of Light, which a lot of people had considered, near lock. I think it's a very soft score.
There are some moments when I felt like it was kind of off, and then other moments where I was like, it was doing great things.
It's good, but I do think that it's the kind of score where it could slip without the movie.
Del Toro's Pinocchio could definitely get nominated, given that it's Desplat.
Yeah, you gotta watch out. And the music that I've heard in the promos and the trailers so far, you gotta watch out for Pinocchio. All Quiet on the Western Front. I still don't really think that's gonna happen. Yeah, but it's a possibility.
Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick, probably not. You don't need it. Tar, I think that she's going to get nominated for Just Women Talking. Black Panther Wakanda Forever, you can go pretty far down this list, and I think there's some solid possibilities. Like, Ludwig won for the first movie, so it's sort of weird saying this is all the way down there. She Said is Nicholas Bertel, but I don't think it's going to be like his best, most crazy score or anything like that. You got Everything Everywhere as a possibility still. A possibility.
Sort of.
The Whale, sort of divisive reactions to the score, but it was showy. It was showy, though. White Noise is being done by Danny Elfman, and people really like the music from that. Maybe Avatar: The Way of Water. People love the music in the trailer, so that's already something. Sound, we got Top Gun at number 1. We all knew it. It's been there for a while. However, the number 2, I think, perhaps threatens it just a little bit. Just a little bit. All Quiet. The sound design in this movie is insane.
And it'll definitely happen.
It'll happen no matter what. I think it just is undeniable.
Avatar is gonna get in there. The Batman's still looking pretty strong.
It's not a lock, but I mean, I feel like you gotta nominate the Batman for sound. You gotta. And then Babylon. I think there's so much craziness and chaos going on, and you have the score, which people really are gonna like. I think when you got all that going together, you can get that movie a sound nomination as well.
I'm really curious if The Fabelmans gets sound, because
come on,
it's kind of like The Irishman.
The Irishman actually pitched their vocals to make them younger.
There was some creative sound work in The Fabelmans, definitely, but it was really with like Little Steven's train set.
In the beginning of the movie, and it never comes back.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't come back.
I think Elvis could still do it.
Everything Everywhere I think could do it, because you're saying it'd have to break a really strong stat to win editing, and you think it could win editing.
I think Nope could still happen. I'd be curious.
Yeah, the sound work in Nope was great.
Yeah. I think Black Panther is an interesting one because the first one got both sound nominations.
Yeah. This is actually a really interesting category.
The Woman King, I feel like the sound work wasn't particularly creative in the battle scenes.
Well, even though, like, but that's like every battle. Like, battle scenes aren't supposed to be creative.
Think about The Last Duel.
The sound is basically what lets them get away with scenes where people are being hacked with machetes, and it's not rated R. So, you know, it is prominent.
For song, this is sort of roughly sketched right now. Song changes a lot when new songs pop up for movies and stuff like that. Hold My Hand for Top Gun Maverick, Lady Gaga. That's looking pretty good right now to be out front. She could maybe win another song Oscar. Something will be done for Black Panther. You can feel pretty certain about that. We don't know what it is yet, but I think that's got to be safe if there's anything for that movie. The song called Applause from Tell It Like a Woman. Guess why I have this on there?
Tell It Like a Woman.
Yeah, it sounds. Yeah, just take a guess why this is on there.
Diane Warren?
Yep. Okay. And they announced that they're going to launch a campaign to get this song nominated already. Who's they? I don't know. What's this movie? I don't know. At the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter because we know what Diane Warren can do. We saw 4 Good Days get nominated for an Oscar. I hope Not To will be nominated from RRR. Maybe it'd be hard to get a song nominated from an international film because we don't understand the lyrics and they don't work in the same way as they do in the original language with the rhyming and everything or whatever.
But it's just so fun when you're watching the movie. It doesn't matter.
It also has long instrumental passages that are meant for the dancing, so it's a little bit of an unconventional nominee for that reason. But like, if you nominate this, you will make the ceremony so fun. If they get to perform this at the Oscars, it's going to be so fucking sick. That's why they need to do it. I'm hope dicting by putting it in there. But I also think
you're allowed to hope dict in the song category because it's just kind of weird.
And we got New Body Ruma from White Noise. I mean, this is LCD sound system, and people say like, hey, when the credits came on and they were playing this song, I was having a great time. Nobody Like You from Turning Red is like the song by the fake band in the movie, but it has like 150 million views on YouTube. People know about the song. And to me, it's kind of like a novelty song. Like, it's not meant to be good. It's just meant to be like, yeah, that does sound like a song that could have been released and popular back in like the early 2000s. I don't know. People might like try to get it nominated. I just don't know how seriously people will take it. There's a song from Bros at the end where Billy Eichner sings in like a country accent. He sings a song and
it's funny. Yeah. It's a good song. I would like it to be nominated.
You got a Bob's Burgers song from the Bob's Burgers movie. You got a Taylor Swift song from Where the Crawdads Sing, which I don't know. I mean, yeah, that could happen. Like, I think maybe the Golden Globes could say it, but Young and Beautiful from Great Gatsby, for example, did not get nominated. Like, they don't always go for like the pop songs. This Is a Life from Everything Everywhere. A lot of people have this in. And I have a few examples of movies. I'm just going to rapid fire shit at you right now. The song from Parasite, the song from Minari, the song from Boyhood. Okay? That's what this is. It is not a song that, like, on its own seems like a song the Oscars would nominate.
I like this song, though. I really like this song.
You do?
Yeah.
I think it's all right. I don't think it's the best. I mean, when you put together Sun Lux, Mitski, and David Byrne, and I don't think it's amazing. I think it's okay.
I liked it.
Do you think it's got a, well, you think it's got a good chance then?
I think it's fair. Yeah, it's got a fair shot.
You don't think it's like those other songs where
it
it's
could
just
be.
Like,
it could be, but I think it's got a fair shot.
It's
not like nothing because it's in the movie and it's something that I remember like them playing in the movie. I don't remember there being a song in Boyhood. I don't even know what the Parasite song was.
But it's also like a 2.5 minute song. It's not big.
Yeah, it's just, not big. It's kind of chill and.
Jennifer Lopez did some songs for her movie Marry Me, so maybe they could nominate that. Visual effects, Avatar is going to win. We all know that. That's undisputed. Black Panther, you know, I don't care about the first one or whatever. This is probably going to get nominated.
Don't care.
This looks like it's going to be like the best Marvel movie of the year. The Batman, I don't think is a lock, but I think it looks decent that you can nominate the Batman. Then you got Everything Everywhere, which I think will be nominated.
Really?
Yeah.
You actually think that'll be nominated now?
Well, I had it before.
I didn't know.
I think the way that they used it is just cool. Like, I think it's just cool what they've done with that. And I don't think this is so crowded.
It's not that crowded because you have Top Gun too, and Top Gun has like what mostly 90% practical effects.
The reason that I caved on this, even though it was pretty like okay, but what are the visual effects in Top Gun? It's like it has some, and that might be enough for people to just kind of say. Actually, I don't know, but for the visual effects branch, like.
Yeah, I don't know. They're a little bit.
You're
like,
right. No,
they need to prove. They need to prove that it has visual effects.
I'm not
kidding. I
caving.
think All Quiet could maybe get.
No,
one.
we're doing Pinocchio.
Pinocchio. Okay.
We're doing Pinocchio.
All right. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
okay.
Top Gun, like again, like it is something that I could see happening despite what I'm saying, but It doesn't have a lot of visual effects. That was the whole point of the movie, is that they didn't use a lot of visual effects. Yeah, there's like maybe a couple CGI like planes.
It'd be kind of funny if
there's
like,
a couple rockets and missiles. That's not a big deal. That's not a big deal.
It'd be kind of funny if for the campaign, their whole shtick is like, guys, we didn't use any visual effects, and then suddenly they wanted a visual effects nomination. Like, okay, wait, listen, like we used some, and this is an extraordinary use of visual effects, and here's why. They suddenly have to kind of like change the narrative just to get it nominated.
People think it's going to get nominated just for being a blockbuster, and I don't quite agree. But Pinocchio, I mean, we've seen that they'll nominate some of these big stop motion films like Kubo and the Two Strings and The Nightmare Before Christmas. And Guillermo del Toro's behind this. On the behind the scenes, you can already see them using the green screen. So it's like, there you go.
Wow.
Like, why not? They could go for this movie, I think.
All Quiet on the Western Front, though, I feel like if you're going to give 1917 that award, like give it the award, then why doesn't All Quiet
that's not the same. That's not the same. 1917 got it because the way that they did the one take, they had to like erase the dirt that was tracked by like the car that was carrying the camera, because there was no other way to like film the scene.
I guess.
Like they had to do some weird shit to work around that. And there was also that plane crash that was really big. What does All Quiet have? Like there's some explosions. Like what?
I mean, what, you think the set was like literally miles long?
Okay, there were backgrounds.
Yeah.
Every movie has backgrounds.
Yeah, just like Pinocchio.
And yet Kubo and the Two Strings got nominated.
And like definitely, you know, some of the stuff that they're blowing up. I don't know. I mean, maybe it doesn't have that many effects.
You got to have like some of the Marvel movies in there just because they'll shortlist all of them. Animated feature, we got Pinocchio at number 1. It's looking like everyone's gonna like it.
Yep.
It's going to be good to have that after what happened with the Disney Pinocchio.
People are still talking about how much they love Turning Red.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of goodwill for it to win.
It could win if Pinocchio isn't amazing. Strange World also could win if it really is like a big Disney movie. My Father's Dragon is Cartoon Saloon, which means they are pretty much guaranteed a slot, I think, as long as that does come out this year. I haven't really heard much about it. And then Marcel the Shell. Like, look, Marcel the Shell has less than like 5,000 votes on IMDb. Like literally nobody saw that movie. Twitter cares a lot about it because what else?
Wendell and Wild, easily.
But I thought people didn't like that movie.
This is Peter Selleck. He's a legend in the animated sphere.
Yeah, but I thought people didn't like the movie.
They like it. It just has problems with the script. People still like the movie though.
Oh, it has a 94 on Rotten Tomatoes. What the fuck?
Because the animation's good. You should still have Wendell and Wild in over like Marcel the Shell.
All right. Well, Marcel the Shell, people love that movie.
Yes, they do, but it's also just disputed whether it's animated. It's like that's.
But they can get it in. Like if it gets in,
I don't know.
Lightyear's still done.
Yeah, Lightyear's
done. It's been done. It's gone.
Goodbye.
International feature, we got All Quiet winning. Decision to Leave could win, but if we're gonna say All Quiet gets all these tech nominations and Moving Picture, then we gotta have that at number 1.
I guess so.
And then Close, I think that's gonna get nominated. A lot of shit has happened in terms of like countries not selecting things that they should select. Like RRR is not selected by India, which means that they're not even going to get nominated for whatever they did this year. Like it's just not even a chance.
Broker still might be submitted by Japan though. I think you forgot that.
Japan has their submission and it's Plan 75.
Oh, never mind.
Iran did not submit Layla's Brothers, which I am dismayed by. I mean, I haven't seen what they submitted, but I have The Quiet Girl from Ireland getting nominated. You should look this movie up. The ratings are through the fucking roof on this movie. From Rotten Tomatoes, Letterboxd, people love it. And so I'm thinking like, whenever this movie like has its day or it gets, you know, some kind of US distribution, I feel like a wave of hype could form around this movie. And it seems like if people see it, they're going to vote for it. You got Holy Spider, that could get in from Denmark.
That one has a lot of visibility too.
Yeah. Bardo.
Funny that you have Bardo at 7. Funny.
Well, we don't, first of all, Mexico might not even submit Bardo.
That's true.
They might not even submit it, but even if they did, it's still a maybe. Argentina 1985 is one a lot of people think is getting noms. Corsage from Austria, Boy from Heaven was submitted by Sweden. Alcaraz from Spain, Blue Kaftan, and EO. EO's not going to happen. Too experimental. Documentary feature, All the Beauty and the Bloodshed is now people's like thing that they like to say is winning. A lot of people love the movie.
Some people are mixed though because they don't think the movie does a good job at putting two stories together. I've heard other people who fucking love it and are like, this is easily winning.
And it also is the director of Citizen4, which won documentary. Fire of Love is now number 2, but that's still very much in there. Moon Age Daydream, Descendant, Netflix has that. That should get nominated. That was really good. I moved Navalny off. I just feel like what's happening with Navalny? Like, what's happening with it?
What? Navalny was... I think that's definitely going to get nominated.
Icarus: The Aftermath is a sequel to a Oscar-winning documentary,
That's
Icarus,
true.
and it has great reviews.
I feel like Navalny might
better reviews than the first.
Even have a better chance than Descendant. Descendant is important, but Navalny was very entertaining and like you kind of hold your breath. And is even more relevant now that Russia has come in, since Sundance, come into the spotlight.
And you could say the same about Icarus.
But Navalny is very likable.
It felt like a streaming documentary. I did have to add Senior in here, which is a documentary about Robert Downey Jr.'s father. And it just got picked up by Netflix, and they are planning an awards campaign for it. So that seems like it might even be a top contender. SAG Ensemble, is Women Talking winning? That's got an undeniably amazing ensemble. I also think Everything Everywhere could win. Actually,
Really?
think about how, like, when it came to Parasite and Coda winning Best Picture, it was like the sight of the team of the movie on the stage. Everything Everywhere, put those actors on the stage together. I feel like that's going to happen. I see it in the future. It's in my crystal ball as those actors holding their SAG awards or something
well,
like that.
That's not my crystal ball, but I mean, Fablemans could also win, I think. It has quite a big ensemble.
Yeah, that's true. Babylon is going to get nominated as well.
Massive cast.
Massive cast, lots of cameos. And The Woman King, finally.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
SAG will
Woman
like
King
this
gets in
movie.
there.
They're probably going to nominate Viola Davis. And
there's a lot of really good performances. It's Viola Davis, Tuzo Mbedu, some of the best of the year, and then you've got a few other ones like Lashana Lynch that people are deservedly like saying are great.
Yeah, Banshees of Inisherin, and this I almost had in, but then I thought 4 performances in this movie.
Yeah,
only
not
4.
5.
This is what happened with Power of the Dog, which did not get nominated for SAG Ensemble, and that's why we said it wouldn't get nominated for SAG Ensemble, and we were right.
5 is the magic number. You gotta have 5.
But I mean, I don't know. I mean, you could say that like The Bartender or something from this movie, but that's not that convincing to me.
They've still nominated like Bohemian Rhapsody though for ensemble, and it's like I don't know what 5 are on my
and
fingers
The Theory
for
of
that.
Everything.
Yeah, so it's not that it happens where you're like, I'm not sure what that was.
Yeah, but that's a certain type of Beatty movie that
didn't they nominate
that
Dallas Buyers Club too?
They did.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Black Panther could get nominated too. I mean, that's got like a pretty great cast, and we know that they were all really good in the first one. Then you have She Said, which is very much an ensemble type of movie. Bros, I'm not like quite convinced that this would actually happen, but it is like a really feel-good movie.
And the representation is definitely there with like LGBT, which these other movies cannot say that about themselves, so it does stand out.
The Whale does have 5 performances. I just don't know if The Whale's
and that's it.
Yeah, and that's it, but I also don't know if Whale's like
I don't think it's gonna
top contender enough.
That would be surprising. Triangle of Sadness has a whole bunch of great performances, but I unfortunately just don't think it will crack.
And those are our Oscar predictions for October or September. Also, if you're not currently supporting the channel on Patreon, what are you doing? We're doing monthly Q&As. We're doing monthly retrospective movie reviews. We have a Call Me By Your Name review, a Tree of Life review up there right now. And there's 2 Q&A live streams you can watch. And every month there's more. Every dollar goes to me to do whatever I want with it, which is a great cause. Helps to support me doing this more often. And if you do choose to support, it's a great thank you is owed from me to you. I give you a great tip of the hat. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
Are you going to wear your Halloween costume when you make your Oscar predictions?